Hey there everyone, today we're going to be installing a fire alarm system in my house. I know this is the fourth video with this title because the first three videos of the project were roughing in the house. I've got videos on roughing in the first floor, second floor, and then the panel itself. So if you're interested, feel free to check those out. But today's the big day where we're going to actually start installing devices in my house, get this fire alarm system in place and start working on it. As I said, I have videos on roughing in this fire alarm system, getting all these devices in, pulling wire in the walls, getting locations for pull stations, enunciators, smoke detectors, heat detectors, you name it. I have our Notifier NFS-320c fire alarm panel right here. We have the rest of the panel over here to get put together. We've got a lot of devices to put in though, so I'm gonna have to break this video up into two parts too. So this is gonna be part one. We'll get done whatever we can. I think we'll start with this first floor of the house and then we'll move on to the second floor. Let's go there and take a look at our devices that we've got to install. It's all over here. Well guys, here is our box of stuff. We've got it all here. We've got smoke detector heads, heat detector heads, bunch of smokies, horn strobes, different modules and isolators, pull stations, heat detectors, and then there's some low frequency sounders in here, duct detector, sampling tube, whatever this is, monitor module, our panel components, enunciators. We got it all in this box here. So let's take her in the house. I'm going to get first started by mounting our panel in the actual cabinet in the furnace room here. So I apologize if it's noisy with the furnace running in air conditioning. Let's install a smoke detector in our fire alarm panel room right up here. First of all, these are all our detectors, FSP 951 smoke detectors. I have 10 of them in a box, and I think I have 3 more not in a box. So I'm going to pull these out first, B300 bases. Okay, red and brown will go under our positive terminal. This first smoke detector I'm putting up here is going to be device number 1. So we'll put our 10's place to 0 and 1's place to 1. There you have it. Next, I'm going to put up our smoke detector in this bedroom here. We'll need another base and our smoke detector itself. This is going to be device number 3. Brown and red as our positive. And make sure that we're going on negative and positive and not RA, because that's a mistake that I see happen all the time. All right, corridor smoky. Ceiling is a little messed up on this one. It might be partially covered, but we'll probably have to take it down and repaint. This one will be device number 3. All right, let's put up a sounder strobe right here. This is the model of it, P2WL-LF, low frequency sounder strobe, and this one is a white one, L series. There you go. This wire here for this guy is 14 gauge. So I use the 14 gauge stripper to strip it. We went with 14 for the necks, not really because I needed to. It is better for voltage drop, though it wasn't really necessary. It's just I had a lot of it on hand and it was never going to get used otherwise. So I figured I would use it up on this project here on the necks, because it at least wasn't going to hurt anything. There's our negatives under one terminal. Now each positive goes under its own terminal. Doesn't matter which one the in and the out goes on. Now for our device, we can change the candela, though I'm going to leave it at 15. I don't know what I should be setting. We typically here in Canada always leave them at 15. We rarely change them, at least from the installs I've been on. And for sound, this can do temp 3 high, temp 3 low, temp 4 high, temp 4 low, and continuous high, continuous low. Obviously we want temporal 3 because it's for fire, and we're going to leave it at temp 3 high because it needs to be loud enough for the sound to travel into the bedrooms. Okay, moving on down the house this way, we have another smoke detector in this laundry room here. This one here is going to be address number 4. Alright, now let's go work on this garage here. In this garage, I need to install a heat detector and a horn strobe. Now, some would say install a smoke detector in here. It shouldn't get below 0 in here, but The concern is that it possibly could get some very cold air if this door was left open. It really shouldn't be because we don't want to freeze the pipes, but those would take longer to get below temperature than a detector would. So we're going to go with a heat detector in this room. We could always change it in the future though, should we need to. I'll put up a L series horn strobe here. And here is our heat detector. You can see it's got the heat symbol, and this is a fixed temp and rate of rise, I believe. And we will need a base. That horn strobe in the garage is also going to be our end of line for NAC 1. And I don't have an end of line plate right now. That is something I need to add in the future. So we need a 2.2K end of line resistor. There you go. There's your 2.2K. So here we'll put our end of line resistor on here in between negative and one of the positives. You kind of have to snip off half of it here to be able to get those under. And we'll put our negative in right here. And for this guy here, we're also going to leave it at 15 candela. However, we want this one on temporal 3 low, which is number 2, which you can see it is already on temp 3 low. Because high volume would be pretty crazy in this little space. But I think we do need something in here because you might not be able to hear the hallway because these walls are insulated, as this is the garage. Alrighty, let's put up a detector. With these bases here, the way you put them up is you slide it on this side first, and then you slide it back till this guy clips in. I'll show you what I mean here. Pull our wires out here. Once you have it lined up with your screws, just like this, you slide the one screw all the way under, and then this guy, you slide it back that way, and then it's up there. All right, now that we have our wires terminated onto there, I screwed this guy down, forgot to record it, that's my bad. Set it to address number 5. This guy is ready to go up. There you go. Coming back around from this garage here, I need to put up a smoke detector in this bedroom here. Some of these have clear caps, some of these have orange caps. I'm not sure what the difference is. These ones look a little different, the orange ones on the back too. The dials are more of a yellow color. The print's a little different too versus these ones. Oh, these ones are yellow too. It all says the same thing. Oh, these are FSP 951s, these are FSP 951s. A's, don't know what the difference is. Everything else, I believe, is the same between them. Sorry about the poor lighting in this room, it's pretty dark. This is the last one on the SLC circuit. If this was conventional, we'd be putting the end of line right here. However, this is addressable, so you don't need end of line because each device is monitored through the data talking to the panel. This one will be address. This will be address number 6, I believe I said. That should be right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alrighty, that detector's up, and that is pretty much all for the basement, but we do need to put some modules and some different things up above the panel here. I'm going to install 2 of these in these middle 2 boxes. Now, they may look like motor modules, however, if you look at them, they've only got 4 terminals, so what the heck is that? These are known as fault isolator modules, ISO-X. These take SLC in 2 of the terminals and SLC going out of the 2 terminals. You notice you don't set the address. It's because they don't take up an address. I believe on some panels, if you have a certain amount of them, it will count as one address, like 25 will count as one address. They do have some brains built into them, but they don't get programmed in like a regular module. These go between the input, the inside of the SLC and the outside. Now they isolate branches of the SLC. So basically how this will work is one goes on the upstairs SLC, one goes on the downstairs SLC, because it's one common SLC out of the panel. It only has one, and then that common SLC is here and here, this wire and this wire. But then this is going out from there. But if there's, say, a short circuit in the basement here, it would take down your entire system without an isolator module because it would short that SLC out. So what this does is it actually has almost like a mini circuit breaker in there where we'll open up that SLC. This will stop polling how it regularly polls. Not really polling, but it usually flashes yellow, and then when it gets tripped, it'll go solid yellow. I'll give a demonstration eventually on them at some point, but I need one here for the basement, one here for the second floor. I just wrote on the back here for me to remember and for you guys to show, for me to show you guys. So terminal number 1, T1 is SLC in negative, T2 is SLC in positive, and then T3 is SLC out isolated, the protected side negative, and T4 is SLC out protected, isolated positive. Why they don't just put in, like why they don't just write this right on the terminal, I don't know. That seems ridiculous to me that they don't, that you have to go look it up if you're not familiar with it off the top of your head, which I was not. It's been a while since I've installed one. Alrighty guys, let's get started and install one of these things. By the way, these are not the screws that came. I lost the original ones. These are just wall plate screws. Any 632 works. So this one is going to have 4 wires coming in because one is going to jump over to the next isolator. So all of these need to get stripped here. So remember, these are going to need to go onto the input terminals here. So T1 is input negative. Oh, I'm kind of silly. They do say on the front what's negative and positive, but they don't really say if it's isolated or not. I guess you're supposed to know that 2 is the isolated side. So that's my bad for saying that they don't tell you, because they kind of do, but they're not the most specific ever. So that is the non-protected side of the SLC, in and out to the next isolator. because it'd be pointless to go off the protected side, because then you'd lose your upstairs if the downstairs one tripped anyways. So that is our SLC in. Now this will be our out, our isolated side here. Alright, now we just have to do it over again with this one. However, this one should go on a little easier and we shouldn't have to fight with it because we've got less wires in the box. So here again, this will be our SLC in. And this is our outgoing isolated SLC, where it goes and picks up the entire upstairs. Okay, we got the isolators mounted. Now I think we should work on one of the other things that's got to go in this room. Now it's nothing from in these boxes yet, because these are going to get hooked onto the SLC and they do actually need to be spliced through for it to work, but we're not worried about that yet. I want to get our duct detector installed. This is the duct detector we have right here. It is a system sensor DNR duct detector. This one doesn't have any relays, it's just for an addressable smoke detector, that's all. Here's all of the instructions that come with it. I don't think I need any of them. However, I do need the template that is in the box, so I don't need it, but it makes it a lot easier, that is for sure. We are going to have a little bit of a strange install here, as my sampling tube is actually shorter than the width of the duct, and that's because I physically cannot get a bigger sampling tube in there. The room is too small. It's still going to cover most of the duct, so it's either this or nothing. There's not really a whole lot I can do about it. So this is a flexible unit where you can actually turn the thing. So let's open it up here and take a look at what we're working with. So one of these will be your sampling tube and the other one will be your air going back into the duct. We'll need to take this compartment off here too. So the way that this needs to mount onto I need to use that flexibility of this guy. So the way you do that is you take out this screw here. Appears I'm going to need a different screwdriver. So I believe we need to take this screw out right here. There you go, and then you reinstall it right here. So then I will enter our fire alarm cable into here, and is where it's going to go onto here. is it's going to be in right here, in or COM plus, and then COM negative right there. So it's going to go in on this plus one right here, this in / communication plus, and then this communication negative right there. I was able to get that screw finally tight here, and this is going to be hard. This is a crappy spot to work in here, but I'm going to mount this on the duct like this. I want the sampling tubes to be centered, and I need to move this over here. So the duct detector comes with this template here. So we can stick that on. We'll get that centered of the duct right there. And this is the size of the sampling tube. This is the air exhaust going back into the duct, but same size, so I need a drill bit large enough for that. I'm not sure if the 1/2 inch one will do it or not. Here is our sampling tube. Okay, so now our duct detector. We'll mount onto there like this. Looks like we gotta make the hole a little bit bigger though. Not a lot though. Alright, well I made myself a bigger hole there. I just used side cutters. Gonna put some self-tapping screws, self-drilling screws I should say, into there, and hopefully mount this guy up for good. Put the screw back in this thing that I took out of the duct. I thought it was going to be in my way. However, it turns out it's not. Alrighty, there you have it. All mounted up. Okay, so now I'm going to enter this fire alarm cable into here so I can cut it down here. And with these guys, I'd usually just use the plastic connectors, the plastic 4040s, but the plastic on this is too thick that it won't actually like latch on, if you know what I'm saying. So I have to use these metal ones here. which it looks like that's as tight as it's gonna go. I can enter our fire line cable in here, tighten it down. I'll put one on this ground connection here, even though it's like basically grounding nothing. I'm sure this video isn't turning out good. This is like the most awkward spot to try and work. In positive, I believe, goes here on the plus in communication. And that would make sense because there is a yellow wire connected to it, which goes to the detector. But first it goes through a tamper switch, because that's the way the tampers on these work, is the tamper actually interrupts the SLC from even getting to the detector. You can see it goes through this tamper switch here, and then that's where it goes to the positive, and the black goes to the negative and hooks right up to here, which is the communication negative, so that'll make sense. And then the blue wire is for your remote annunciator. I believe that just goes to your like LED light to show if it's active, but I could be wrong. Not an expert when it comes to these duct detectors, haven't worked with them a ton. Only installed a few ever. Right. Now, as for my detector, there was one of these ones that was dirty. Yes, it's that one. This one's got a little bit of dirt on it. It's kind of rubbed off a bit of the nice smooth finish there. So we're going to use that one as the duct detector. And this one needs to be address number 7. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to install my sampling tube now, and like I said, it's not long enough to reach all the way through the duct, because usually you'd put this on the outside of the duct at the end. So here's my problem. It's not reaching outside the duct. I know this isn't the proper way of doing it, but it's literally all I've got. The wall is too close. I can't get a bigger one of these in there. Physically won't happen. So I can put this plug in the end here, but then it's like, should I have the plug in there if it doesn't go all the way through the duct or not? I think I still should, because my thoughts are, without that, is a lot of the air that goes in these holes could just escape out the end. If we plug it, it's forced to go through the detector. That's just my thought. So I'm going to put the plug in, and you guys can let me know what you think. So this needs to face upwards. The arrow needs to face, the little arrow there, hard to see, needs to face towards the airflow. The little holes all need to go towards the airflow, which in my case is up. And then this can just go in anyway. That's just our air to go back out of the duct detector. And of course we'll throw our housing all back on it, as it won't work without it. So holes pointing up. And then this guy just goes in here. And then our detector head itself. And then we can put our cover back on here. So the detector won't actually work without this cover on, which is a good thing because also most of the air would simply just go past the detector and wouldn't be forced through it without this cover on. With the cover on, all the air has to travel over this detector in order to make it back into the duct. Where I'm going to splice the SLC through right here as if there is a device wired in, because I'm not at the point of installing these yet. That's going to be down the road. I just have somewhat of plans. Like I might turn this into a relay for furnace shutdown, but I haven't got it figured out yet, nor do I have the material yet. But I decided it's easier to put the box in initially. Same with this one, I have another idea for that. So neither of that is here though yet, so I'm just going to wire this together so the SLC can still work, because I didn't wire this with any T-taps. I wanted a non-T-tap system. Troubleshooting T-taps sucks. You don't wire a real system T-tapped. It's okay for demos, but a real system should never be T-tapped. So we're going to splice this together as if there is a device there. I'm going to do the same thing at this box too, just splice it through. Okay, so the next and the last thing we're going to do in this video is install our pull station. We only have one pull station in this house, and really originally I wasn't going to do any because it's just a house and they're not that aesthetically pleasing. Commercial smoke detectors don't really stand out that much in a house. They still blend in pretty good. These aren't great, but they're not terrible. Pull stations, red, yeah, that's kind of pushing it, but I'm gonna put one in at the front door. Maybe I can cover it with a coat or something, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be there, just more for fun. The pull station isn't really on, or isn't really in the basement, but I want to put it up in this video to finish the basement SLC, as the pull station is tied on to the basement SLC loop. Okay, we're gonna set the address here, and this will just get set to address number 1. Reason we don't have to go higher than our last detector is this is a module, not a detector. Modules are separate. You can have 159 detectors on one SLC loop on a 320 and 159 modules. Alrighty guys, well that's where I'm going to end this part 1 video. Part 2 video, we have to do a lot upstairs. We've got to get, I think, 5 detectors in upstairs, 2 detectors in the attic, the monitor module that will monitor those detectors in the attic, as well as we have to install the whole enunciator too, and tie everything into the panel. And then I think we'll do a 3rd video of turning everything on for the first time, programming it, and yeah. So anyways guys, that's going to be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you do have any comments or questions, feel free to put those in the comment section. And if you enjoy my videos, make sure to subscribe. Also, if you are interested, I do have an Instagram account at Pickle7Heart for bonus content and content posted earlier than you would see it on YouTube, that sort of thing. Alright guys, thanks for watching.